When you look at your previous comments, you said these hearings would, quote, blow the roof off the House. Major hearing this week on Tuesday, led by you in part. Another major hearing on Thursday. Will your statement still stand by Friday, that these hearings will blow the roof off the House?
Well, not literally, certainly, but I think what I meant is that when you add all of this up together, it is the greatest political offense against the Union by a president of the United States in our history. Nothing comes close to it. A
criminal offense.
The attempt to overthrow the result of a presidential election through a political coup and the mobilization of an armed, violent mob cannot really be compared to anything else a president has done. It makes the Watergate break-in look like the work of Cub Scouts. I just hope that we're telling everything we know in a competent and effective way to the American people, because, Madison said that in a democracy, the people have the right to the most awful truth, which is the truth about the nature of government and their rulers. And we need Americans to look very carefully at what happened.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the Democrats and their reaction to the release of the January 6th tapes. The tapes that show that the Democrats' narrative that was crafted by the mainstream liberal media in the January 6th Commission was not totally accurate in regards to what actually happened that day. The January 6th tapes proved that you have people who simply just walked in the Capitol, was given a tour by police, and was thrown in jail with no due process simply for committing the non-violent act of walking into the Capitol. Now, again, this is a much different story than what was told by the January 6th Commission and the mainstream liberal media, which made it seem like everybody who entered that Capitol was violent, okay? And they were looking to overthrow the government. However, if you look at the January 6th tapes, clearly that is not the case, okay? These people were high-fiving, fist-bumping Capitol Police as the police were letting them into the building to give them a tour, right? And again, Democrats are upset about this. Jamie Rackins here. We're going to talk about his response to it for obvious reasons, because they hate transparency, right? They don't like when the people can see the footage and the evidence for themselves and to come to their own conclusion. So now he's going to go on CNN and basically boo-hoo, whine, and cry about the January 6th tapes being released, arguing that it is a threat to national security, okay? More transparency is a threat to national security, according to Democrats. So let's get into it.
Joining us, as you know, this is footage that your committee decided not to release. So what's your reaction to the Speaker Johnson deciding to do so, and why do you think he's doing it?
Well, on the latter question, Speaker Johnson is clearly on the run from the extreme MAGA caucus, Chip Roy, and the strongest pro-Trump elements. I mean, he was only able to get through his continuing resolution proposal because of Democratic votes. And I think they're saying he's got 2 strikes of 3 they're going to give him. So he's already looking at a motion to vacate. So this was clearly an effort to placate the right wing, which has been making this absurd demand for a very long time. And so now we have, on a totally unilateral partisan basis, the Republicans caving in and, opening up to the world what they allowed Tucker Carlson to come see. Obviously, Tucker Carlson did his best to torture out of tens of thousands of hours of footage some kind of concocted story, which, of course, went nowhere. We went through all of that. We had more than 1,000 witnesses come and talk to the January 6th committee. All of it on a bipartisan basis in search of the truth, not in search of lies. And most of the witnesses, of course, were Republicans, people in the Trump administration, people in the Trump family, and we delivered a complete report. Beyond the partisan nature of it, it's truly a security risk what they're doing. The reason why the Capitol Police have opposed releasing tens of thousands of hours from every House office building, every Senate office building, every part of the Capitol is because it's like giving a diagram to future insurrectionists and terrorists and anybody who wants to invade our body. So if the Speaker thinks it can be done safely or securely, why doesn't he rely on the Capitol Police to determine what should be given out and what shouldn't be given out? Because that's the principal concern here, which is security.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, so here are Democrats showing you that once again, that the things that they claim that they believe in, they actually don't believe in. Because the first video I played in this video was video Jamie Raskin, while the January 6th committee was going, talking about how it's important that the American people truly understand what happened that day, right? They truly understand what happened that day. But this is the same guy who was upset that Speaker Mike Johnson decided to let the American people know what truly happened that day, right? By releasing all of the January 6th footage in a way that, you know, people can come to their own unbiased conclusion about what happened. Now, Jamie Ratkins claims that his issue with Mike Johnson releasing the tapes is that, well, it's a security issue. They might commit another January 6th, right? Which, you know, hey, look, if Trump gets elected in 2024 and the leftists rage over Trump being elected, then, hey, yeah, I mean, there probably could be another January 6th, right? Because, you know, these leftists commit these types of violent acts every time they don't get their way, right? And if Trump win again, then I can imagine that, yeah, they're going to lose their minds. But it's not about security. It's not about protecting anybody. It's more about protecting the narrative. Because if it was about national security, why in the hell would they allow Nancy Pelosi's daughter to film the politicians taking secret escape routes to secret bunkers that nobody really knew about until January 6th happened? They allowed that to be filmed, okay? And not only did they allow it to be filmed, they allowed the film to be released to the public because the film fit the narrative that they were trying to paint.
It's never before seen footage.
Yes, ma'am.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi shown fleeing the U.S. Capitol as it was under attack on January 6th. The videos captured by her daughter, Alexandra Pelosi, a documentary filmmaker.
We have got to finish the proceedings or else it will have a complete victory.
She provided some of her footage to the January 6th Select Committee, who played clips in their hearing Thursday. But in the roughly hour of additional footage obtained exclusively by CNN, we see lawmakers transforming Fort McNair, a military base 2 miles away, into a command center to communicate with Vice President Mike Pence and others, even considering reconvening the congressional proceedings at the military base.
We're being told it could take days to clear the Capitol and that we should be moving everyone here to get the job done. We're at which has facilities for the House and the Senate to meet. We'd rather go to the Capitol and do it there, but it doesn't seem to be safe.
While Pence evacuated the Senate chamber, he stayed behind in the Capitol with his security detail.
I worry about you being in that Capitol room. Don't let anybody know where you are.
I'd like to know a good goddamn reason why it's been denied.
Then Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer shouting at Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy after hearing a rumor Trump blocked the National Guard going to the Capitol.
Please move. The whole Capitol is rampage. There's a picture of someone sitting in this chair of the Senate. We've all been evacuated. There's been shots fired. We need a full National Guard component now. She said it was not denied. I'm going to call up the effing secretary.
Yeah, so you see that, you hear that. Okay, so I want you guys to understand. Jamie Ratkins' point is that, well, releasing the J6 footage is a security risk, right? It's a security concern, right? You're putting the national security at risk by being transparent in regards to what happened on January 6th. But yet, these people had no issues with Nancy Pelosi's daughter literally recording Nancy Pelosi as she's taking secret evacuation routes out of the Capitol to a remote location, which, again, I didn't know about, okay? I mean, I guess you can assume that, that was something that they had in Congress just in case, but nobody knew for sure until January 6th happened. And she recorded the evacuation routes. They show videos of politicians evacuating, going into these rooms, having these conversations with these military officials. But again, I don't hear any cries about, oh, well, we have national security concerns. Somebody could use this information in order to overthrow the Capitol in some way, right? They only want to cry about that when it comes to releasing the footage, right? When it comes to actually being transparent about the fact that what we were told in regards to January 6th was not exactly true. Everything was not true, okay? You left out footage. You purposely left out footage that went against the narrative so that you could make the American people believe that it was justified to lock up anybody that you disagree with politically, right? This is basically the whole point of this, okay? The whole point of what they did in regards to the January 6th committee, selectively using only film, only footage that fit their narrative, was because this is the precursor. This is what they were using in order to lock up their political opponents, right? To say, hey, you know what? We're going to set a new precedent. We can go lock up Trump supporters, right? There were people who entered the Capitol, okay, who ended up unaliving themselves because of the harassment that they received from the feds for simply just walking into the Capitol. There are people who will never be able to feed their families again like they used to, okay? They will not be able to make a decent living, okay? They won't be able to support themselves. They have their rights taken away from them because of simply just walking into the Capitol when you have police opening up the door, letting people in. Now, again, Jamie Ratkins decided that, hey, it's not important for the American people to see that. Now, these are supposed to be the party of, trying to fix the criminal justice system, trying to make sure things like this don't happen. But again, they're totally fine with it when it happens to their political opponents. It's pretty amazing stuff. I think that these people that was on the January 6th committee should resign. They should all resign from Congress. Because at the end of the day, what they did was disgraceful. Okay? They lied to the American people and used that lie as a reason to politically persecute their opponents. And then they want to turn around and talk about fascism. Right? I mean, if this is not fascism, I don't know what is, right? Just, again, imagine the government basically lying to the American people and then using that lie to politically persecute political enemies, right? To go after them. Again, that to me sounds a whole lot like fascism. So, it's just funny to me to see these people get upset about transparency, about the fact that people are going to be able to see all the footage for themselves and then come to their own conclusion about what happened. No. Democrats don't want that, right? They don't want to actually learn the truth about what happened on January 6th. No, what they actually really want to do is make sure that they protect the narrative, okay? They want to protect the narrative. And with all these tapes being released, now they know that, hey, the narrative is under attack. It's under attack. So now they're going to boo-hoo, whine, and cry about it and say it's a national security risk when it's not. Because if it was such a big national security risk, they would not have let Nancy Pelosi's daughter film her taking evacuation routes and, conducting operations in a secret room and all this other stuff. They wouldn't have filmed that stuff. They wouldn't have released it. It's not about national security. It's about protecting the narrative, right? That's what it's all about for these guys. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.